right, we're going to start off with getting our sourdough fed. I've already measured out some water and flour. This time I'm just doing 25 grams of each because it's such a small container. Mix that together a little bit. We'll take a little bit of our previous sour, which has now grown quite a bit overnight. You see it's all bubbly, and I think I'm just going to take a little piece of this and mix it in with my new flour and water. And this will grow overnight. And you may be wondering, after all these feeds, what are we doing here? Why are we getting this sourdough ready all the time? Well, it won't be long here before we're making sourdough, and we need to have a good, strong sour culture going. So it takes repeated feedings to get it ready to be the primary leavener in your bread. So this will be the seed that creates the next feed for the next day. This sour that's left over can either be thrown away, or because it's there, we could conceivably just throw it into our existing bread. I think our next bread is what I'm going to throw this into, because we had a little problem with this yeast that I've been using. This yeast was outdated. It seemed to be working fine at first, but now I think it's dead. I think it's officially dead. So I went and bought some more yeast, and I think we've got a better yeast culture now. But this in the meantime can be a very good tasting and very, very powerful leavener. So the bread we're going to be starting with today is sunflower. And sunflower rolls, as the recipe states that we have up on Talon, we have milk. So I've got my milk here. I've got flour in here, yeast, wheat bran. I couldn't find wheat bran, so I used wheat germ. I found wheat germ at the supermarket, and that'll work just fine. Sunflower seeds are in there. Salt, sunflower oil, and honey are right here. The sunflower oil does not have to be sunflower oil. In fact, it can be any oil. It's just basically vegetable oil. But I just use just an ordinary corn oil or soybean oil or something like that. Whatever you've got. Even olive oil would work. So I'll put the oil and the honey in there. And we'll put all the milk in there. We'll start bringing this together as a dough. Yeah, we'll get everything mixed together. Now, this dough is a little bit on the sticky side. Don't let that worry you, and also, don't be tempted to put more flour in, or to put more flour on the bench just because it's sticky. When you put more flour in a loaf or in a bread dough like this, you're going to end up with a dough that's dry, drier than it's supposed to be, and we'll end up with dense, heavy bread. So it's best to leave it as is. I'm going to turn this out onto the board. Clean up my bowl real well here, and we're going to knead this by hand. And being sticky, I've been finding that the slap and fold technique works really well for doughs that are a bit on the sticky side, and this one is kind of sticky. So if we slap and fold and start mixing this way, it will start coming together. All right, it's been 45 minutes. And even though this recipe doesn't call for it, I'm going to wet my fingers and I'm going to perform a fold on this dough. And the reason why is because it's been hand mixed and I figure that it needs a little bit more strength, a little bit more development in the gluten. Now this dough, sunflower dough, is a whole grain dough, and whole grain because we're using flour, but we're also using the germ and or bran, as the recipe calls for. And already I can see this dough has gotten smoother just as I've done the fold on it. So I'm going to let this rest for a few minutes. And we're going to be back to divide this dough. So I'm just going to keep it covered. And we'll go ahead and divide it and get it into shaped as rolls. We're going to be making probably about 10 or so dinner rolls out of this. Okay, we're back. We had about a 15-minute rest. We're going to measure these out into about 2-ounce pieces for rolls. So 2 ounces comes out to about 51 grams. And we're getting pretty close. We're getting up to 54. There's a 53. Give or take. We want them to be about the same size. Okay, so we end up with 3, 6, 9, 12 rolls out of this. We're going to get rid of some of the excess flour, and we're going to shake these. Here's a little piece of dough. Just going to gently flatten it down. I'm going to draw everything to the center, so it's like a little belly button. Flip it over, and we're going to drag it along the surface of the wood. So I'm dragging it along this way, and I'm pushing it with my thumb, dragging and pushing. And as I work pretty fast, my hand stays in this position. And I get a nice snug skin. The skin gets nice and tight and developed, and then we end up with the dough sealing itself on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and put that on the sheet pan. So draw these together. We don't want too much flour here because if it slips and slides around on the flour, you're not going to get very good tight skin. And you want nice little round rolls to have good skin. So they should stick. It should stick to the board a little bit as you're rolling. So you just sort of make that shape with your hand so that you can pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push. If you get really confident, you can of course do 2 of them at a time. Now the left one is slipping and sliding around, so there it goes. And you can get twice as many done in half the time. Now I'm giving these a little bit of space on board or on the sheet pan so that they don't stick together. We're going to get these all rounded up and put them on the sheet pan, and we're going to egg wash them. These are going to get egg washed before they proof, and then they're also going to get egg washed after they proof. When they're done proofing and I egg wash them, I'm going to take some sunflower seeds and I'm going to garnish them with some sunflower seeds. I want to let these proof in a nice warm location. The cooler the location is where they proof, the longer it's going to take for them to do their job and proof. So here are all my rolls. I have a little egg wash ready. As I make egg wash, what I do is I take 1 egg, a pinch of salt, and a little spritz of water, and it helps make the egg wash a lot more fluid. So we're just going to give these a little coating of egg wash before they proof. And this double layer of egg wash is going to make sure they have good shine and they have good moisture in the surface of the dough so that they won't need steam in the oven, and they're going to be nice and large. We're going to get these probably to double in size before we bake them. anytime you're egg washing, any baked product, when you're egg washing, if you are egg washing, make sure to get all the spaces everywhere around the item, because you will notice it if you miss a spot, you'll notice it. The egg wash is going to provide shine. If you miss it, you're going to have an area that looks dull. It's going to have kind of a drab appearance. So I like to try to make sure I get it everywhere. That's not to say I'm going to use a ton of egg wash. I don't want to have pools of egg sitting on my hand here. I'd like to just coat them lightly with egg wash, but make sure it's everywhere. Okay, so here's the last one. We're going to go ahead and let these proof. Just going to set them aside. It's probably going to take a little while. It's probably going to take a good hour to an hour and a half to proof these at room temperature. It does take a little while. On the recipe, it says that you should egg wash and proof for 45 minutes. I'm thinking at least double that in order to get these to proof to a nice size by the time at this temperature. But that said, we'll come back and we'll take a look at them, and then we'll egg wash them and garnish them again and stick them in the oven. So we'll see you in just a little while. Okay, it's been about an hour. We're going to go ahead and re-egg wash these. These are going to go into a 375-degree oven. For probably about 15 to 18 minutes. And they should grow considerably in the oven. So I'm glad I put space in between them. All right, off to the oven. We'll come back in a minute. Here we go, sunflower rolls out of the oven. They're looking good, browned really well on the bottom, and they are soft and nice. These really turned out well. So, anxious to see what yours look like. Go ahead and put yourself together a small batch of sunflower rolls and post them so everybody can see them. See you tomorrow.